Hello everybody, Jaccuzi here. Joining me today is...
And for the rest of the LP, Miles the Wolfman.
And we are doing Paper Mario. Yes, we both have put up teasers on our channels, blah blah blah. So, let's get this train rolling.
Yep, because I actually did record a first episode, and the reason you don't see it is because when I recorded it, I may as well have sounded intoxicated and was making incredibly bad jokes. So I scrapped it and haven't gotten back to it since because replaying the prologue is kind of
easy.
More like boring.
Yeah. Same sort of thing happened to me, except I recorded it at midnight, and I had been up since at least midnight the night before, so I was kind of retarded when I recorded it. So I was yawning and making stupid commentary, so here we are. And I'm not reading
Kings
any
of
this.
Stupid Commentary.
Yeah. Now we can be stupid together, and it shall be fun.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not going to read out the dialogue because I'm terrible at voice acting, and you guys are clearly capable of reading, so...
As long as you give them time, you know.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be fit to friggin' just constantly skip through and, you know, make them pause every time.
Yeah, I did kind of do that for the beginning, though. So basically, this situation is we are headed to Peach's castle because she's having a party with a bunch of guests from all across the kingdom. Woo!
It's kind of Mario 64-esque, except this time she actually invited Luigi.
Yep. Alright, and now we can move. You can talk to people, but nobody really has anything very interesting to say, at least from my experience.
It's the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
Unless you're 6 years old, or however old I was when I first got this game, this kind of stuff isn't going to be interesting.
One thing that you can do is you can pester the crap out of this guard enough, and he'll actually let you into Peach's room. There's no real point to it, because you're in here plenty of times later in the game, but
this
it's kind of
neat with the... Oh, yeah.
It's kind of neat to be able to come in here as Mario. One thing, framed photo of Mario. That text will differ slightly when we come back here later. And I've never understood that. He says, "How was it?" But he sits there, so there's no reason he can't go in there.
It's called He's Too Loyal and Too Much of a Pussy.
I was about to say, call him a pussy.
What? Yeah.
I was about to say pussy.
so, right off the bat, I would just like to say that while I'm pretty good at the first two Paper Mario games, Paper Mario 1, this is going to sound god-awful. John already just did two things in the beginning of this game that I never knew about. The room and the framed Mario picture. I had no idea. But I haven't played this game properly in over 10 years at least. So, like, I make it a point to play each Paper Mario game, not Super, because I still haven't beaten that one, and it's not an RPG, so...
No point.
Yeah. So I make it a point to beat each Paper Mario game once a year. But the problem with that is I enjoy them so much that I just, you know, I tend to start speedrunning. And therefore, I haven't played the game properly in about 10 years. So, yeah.
Yeah. So now we've been brought up into the sky. I really don't understand how nobody noticed the fact that they built on top of Bowser's castle. I mean, when they were laying foundation and shit. And if that's not the case, how did no one notice him building a castle underneath a castle?
I'd like to know one thing. That if Bowser was this smart to foreshadow where to put his castle, why can't he come up with a decent strategy as a backup? Because he always loses.
Well, this is probably one of his best strategies, if not his best.
This is true.
Because in this one, he actually does win.
At first.
At least in the beginning, yeah. See, he even says right here, I'm gonna win. And he does, at first.
I'm gonna win.
First battle of the game. It's a completely scripted fight. There's absolutely no way to win this, so...
don't say that.
Well, no way without cheating.
That is more accurate.
Actually, from what I understand...
You can, if you use a Game Shark, you can win this fight.
Doesn't it crash the game, though?
Horribly.
Yeah. So, in essence, there is no way to really beat this fight, because there's no way to gain anything from it or progress.
Yeah. I'm actually, rather disappointed, because when I got my N64, it came with like Pokemon Stadium, everything like that. And then one day, came home from school and there was a grocery store plastic bag hanging on my side door.
Mm-hmm.
And this was when I was a kid, right? And my grandmother apparently had bought this game for me. I didn't know what it was, whatever. This was like the second RPG I'd ever played. The first one was Final Fantasy VI.
Shit, talk about overkill. Sorry.
Yeah, right? Bowser has a thing for
sense of
overkill
timing
in this game. So, I had no idea what this game is. Fast forward to 2 years ago, and my copy of Paper Mario 64, which I still have sitting on my shelf, more as a nostalgia, it doesn't work anymore.
That sucks.
Anytime I run it, it'll get to the title screen. I can load up a save file, but as soon as I change a frame or whatever, or make a move or press a button, anything that would cause him to make a move or change animation frames or whatever, it gives me that debug menu kind of thing. Like the coding.
Right.
And renders the game completely useless.
That's
Paper Mario!
Prologue, a plea from the stars. Now,
is it both games where if you let it sit long enough,
it plays the Mario theme?
Or is it just this one?
I don't know about the second one, but as you can hear, it is playing the Super Mario theme, which I thought was a really cool little Easter egg.
Well, I'll be honest, I'm watching this on a stream, so I can't hear a damn thing.
Yeah, I don't even have the game audio turned on my computer, so even if some random person were to walk in, they wouldn't be able to hear it.
Which kind of stinks, because I love this game's music.
So do I.
And it's really I'm gonna be sitting here in agony when we get to Chapter 7, because I love that music.
Yeah. Alright, so plot is happening. Mario's, in essence, he's almost dead, as the stars here are saying. But apparently they can heal him somehow.
And the dude with the mustache, the black mustache, has the best star power in the game. I think
Which one's his?
I think it's up and away, or up and away. And for what it is, I believe it doesn't give you. I don't believe it gives you star points when you use it. But basically, if it works, and I don't think there are any button commands for it or anything either. I don't think there were any button commands for it, action commands for it in this one. I know the star powers in the second game had.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just activate and go.
Yeah, if it works on the enemies, they get airlifted out of battle and you win, but I don't think you get star points.
It's pretty much like Parakarry's attack, but it happens to every enemy on screen.
Yeah, and I really enjoy it, but unfortunately, I think the cost is kind of high, or maybe it's just 2. I'm not entirely sure.
He's the 5th one you get, right? Or is he the 6th?
No, he's the last one.
Okay, so it's probably 6 star points.
I don't remember. but all I know is that for that point in the game, it's fairly useless.
Yep.
Because you're not going to be wanting to skip star points in Bowser's Castle.
Yeah, that's a super important time to level up.
Because, let's just say this, I'm not going to spoil what the final boss is. I'm sure a lot of people have played this game, you know, but just in case someone has never heard of this, or foreign, or whatever, let's just say this. The final boss is legitimately difficult.
I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, it wasn't easy, but with proper
planning,
it wasn't hard.
it's... Let's put it this way. It's not easy, but I didn't really have a problem with it either, considering I almost, I almost beat Final Fantasy VI when I was 5 years old. So... but I will say this, that chapters 6 and 7 are quite possibly the hardest bosses in this game.
Yeah, they're pretty tough.
5 more than 6.
So this is Goomba Village. As the Toad said, it's pretty much just one family of Goombas who are not evil. They're actually pretty cool guys. The father one right there actually has some funny stuff to say at some points. So.
I want to say the one line after you know what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that.
Sure thing.
It looked like he was fapping.
Oh god, and so it begins. But yeah. So, as you guys have clearly noticed by this point, the video is in a 4:3 ratio, and that's because I personally think games this old look better when they're not stretched out like that. If you got a problem with it, deal with it.
John is the Juan%.
Okay. I should kill you for that, but I'm not going to.
Because I used your solo. Because I used your name, or because I said Juan%?
Because you said Juan%. Terrible pun.
Yes, I know. But at least you're not actually Hispanic or a donkey
I am
farmer.
Hispanic.
I apologize.
You failed. You failed majorly. Also, she's not nearly as cool as Kamek in Yoshi's Island. Just saying.
I never played Yoshi's Island, so I think Kammy Koopa is a friggin' hag anyway.
Yeah, Kamek was a badass. Yeah, and she's crazy. So, but that's happens with most villains. In most games.
She coughed when she laughs because she's old as shit.
Right. Okay.
Nobody say gate to me. I don't know why, but that line makes me laugh every time.
Like I said, they've got funny stuff to say. I love this part. I love this part of the game. Aside from the fact that there's no, you can't use actions, which sucks.
And you're just stuck sitting there with your thumb up your ass.
Don't talk about my family that way. Open the door, Mario. Alright, so we gotta go out to the veranda. But wait, where is it?
And here we're introduced to this game's gimmick.
Paper.
Exactly.
It's more, it becomes a lot more apparent in the second game.
Oh yeah, much more apparent in the second game. But I will say that both of these games do everything very well for their time.
Speaking of the second game, I still need to finish that. I think I might do that this week, since I have the next 9 days off.
You should, especially considering the fact that the Shadow Queen is not that hard.
we'll get to that eventually. But now we've got our first partner. He's not really useful, but he's there.
He doesn't do anything. He's not a partner. He just follows you.
Alright, so we've got our first stalker. How about that?
That works.
Alright.
You're gonna get your second one fairly soon.
So I'm gonna grab coins because I'm a kleptomaniac.
You better get the
dolly? Yeah, I know.
Yep. There's one badge that I would really recommend, and I don't know if it's, you know, if you want to get it or not. It's completely up to you. But one badge that I always get, whether I'm actually playing the game or whether I'm speedrunning it, is the peekaboo.
Oh, I love the peekaboo badge. I get it every time I play it.
The only reason is because you're doing boss bios, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So just to keep track of all the enemies, because while I do know these games fairly well, you know, I'm not a walking encyclopedia, and I can't remember every enemy's stats. So the peekaboo badge really helps. Especially later in the game.
Yep. And this is quite possibly my favorite character in this game.
Junior Trooper.
Total boss. Master Junior Trooper.
That's Mr. Dr. Trooper to you.
Mr. Dr. Professor Patrick. Just boost yourself up, but you can't boost your stats at this point of the game. Anyway. So yeah, here's another scripted fight. Pretty much most of the fights are scripted to an extent because you can't really fail until you actually get to the, you know, where you fight random enemies in the, well, random, but you fight enemies on the overworld. And even then, they're not really that hard, so there's no reason you should die.
In what, Super Paper Mario?
No, in this game.
Oh, that's right. Duh, they do show up on the overworld. Wow.
Yeah, they do it in all the games.
Yeah,
Right.
Did you say about First Strike and...
Not yet. Yeah.
Well...
I'll let you explain it.
Okay, so considering, we're moving on from Junior Trooper,
Yep.
So what happens is enemies appear on the overworld. You can either jump or hit them on the hammer, or just, you know, walk into them to initiate a battle. The problem is they can do the same. So if you manage to jump on them or hit them with your hammer, aside from walking into them, of course, then you'll get a first strike, and that'll do damage depending on what equipment you have
and what enemy it is you're fighting.
Exactly. Some have defense, some have, you know, whatever. So the problem is that the enemies can do the same thing to you. They don't necessarily have a jump or a hammer.
Doesn't really matter. Run in the back of you.
But they can run into you to initiate a battle, or some enemies can do attacks. So.
And there's our first strike. So that's basically how he's explained it, and that's basically a demonstration of how it works. It lets you get in a free attack, basically. And
the one other thing I'd like to point out is that a difference in the second game and this one. In the second game, you can perform the action command when you get a first strike. This game, even when you get available use of the action command, when you get a first strike, you don't get to do anything with it.
Yeah, you do.
So, no, you don't.
I'm fairly certain you do.
You don't, dude. That's one thing I know about.
Alright, anyway, yeah, that's another thing first strikes are useful for. When you're fighting enemies like the Paragoomba, if you jump on them with the first strike, you can actually get the...
you can get them down to the ground and use the
before
hammer.
the actual battle initiates.
Exactly.
So,
Plus
which is
taking damage away.
Yeah. It's really more useful later when you're fighting things like when you're fighting bigger groups of enemies, and you can use attacks like the Quake Hammer, which hits all enemies on the ground.
The Mega Quake, which hits ground and ceiling.
And things of that to that extent, Power Shell, stuff like that, for other partners.
So you know about the hidden shooting star, right?
The one in the cement block? Or
which one are you talking?
Oh, the one where you come back here afterwards, after the chapter, and get the shooting star on the veranda? Yeah.
Yeah.
When you get the upgraded hammer, you can come back here and break that cement block, and I think it's either a star piece or a shooting star that's on the in the block. I don't remember which.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Inside the cement block. But you know when the shooting star on the veranda appears, right?
It's after the cutscene on Shooting Star Summit, right?
No, it's when you first get into Toad Town.
Oh, really? So I can go back?
That's cool. You know what? I'm pretty sure.
Alright.
I'm almost positive because So, the thing with the shooting star is that it does 6 damage, I think. And, so what I like to do is it does take a little bit of time to backtrack.
But it's worth it.
Okay, so it takes time to backtrack from Toad Town to Goomba Village. But what I find is that it takes less time to go from Toad Town to Goomba Village than to fight the Koopa Brothers.
Yep.
So I kill Bowser. I apologize if I'm spoiling this, but I really don't care at this point. So the first phase of the Koopa Brothers, I'm sure you guys will forget me saying this anyway, because, you know...
There'll be a few videos from now on.
Yeah, so... The first phase of the fight is with Bowser, and it's kind of like the Koopa Brothers are inside. And then afterwards, the 4 of them are treated as a separate enemy. So, they stack up and do an action command jump, knock them over, and then next turn use the shooting star.
Yep.
If you didn't have the shooting star, you would have to take them out individually, and they each have 5 HP, which is a total of 20, and which is not that much health. But for that point in the game, they're actually pretty strong. So, you know, I usually use the shooting star to take them out because there's nothing else threatening in the next chapter for a long time, and you'll have a stockpile of items by the time you do meet something threatening.
Yeah. So anyway, we just got our first partner in Mario. He's pretty much just a Mario clone. He's really, in all honesty, pretty useless. But
yeah, I found that I don't use him as much. But
pretty much after I get the second character, I don't use him ever.
But the other thing is he doesn't have a hammer, but he does have some really useful moves if you want to swap out to him. And we also, God damn it, I apologize.
You can say my real name, I don't care.
Okay, yeah, so John also just got a badge.
Yeah, which I need to be equipping now anyway. Badges are really useful. They use your BP and allow you to do special moves based on what the badge is. I'll give you an example. I just equipped the power jump, and you see I have 5 FP, so under my jump menu I have the power jump. It uses 2 FP, and it does significantly more damage than a regular jump. You get badges that have different effects, like the D down pound, which lowers the enemy's defense and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Plus overworld effects and stuff like that.
So, FP is pretty much MP, but for Mario.
Yep.
And BP is badge points, and
correct.
They allow you to equip badges.
Which you use pretty much to make the game easier.
Yeah, makes the game easier, but, you know.
It's meant for you too, so...
Yeah.
Pretty much if you don't use badges, you're just making the game a lot harder for yourself.
Yeah. Although I have seen it done.
Oh yeah, there's no reason, no doubt in my mind that it's been done. Alright, come here.
So, you want to hear something interesting about the shooting star that not a lot of people know about?
What?
There's an enemy in Chapter 7, a boss, that's completely immune to it.
Oh?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know that.
The Monstar.
Alright, well, you'll have to remind me about that when we... Oh, crap, I meant to first strike. Anyway, you'll have to remind me about that when we get there.
It's not like you're gonna need one. It only has 20 HP.
I know, but it'll be interesting to bring up when we get to that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I didn't, because I didn't take out get the first strike on the spiked Goomba, he actually got a hit off on me, and as you saw, it does more damage because he has the spike on his head.
Mm-hmm. Which also means that you can't jump on them.
Correct. So, enemies can do more damage depending on what things they have on them and stuff like that. So, keep that in mind. Alright, this is the close call badge. It's alright. I never really use it.
There are upgraded versions later.
It's pretty useful for this point of the game if you're gonna be, risky about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Also, here would be here's pretty much when I use the Fire Flower because I don't really need it anywhere else. The Fire Flower does 3 damage to all enemies,
which, considering all you're fighting is Goombas, is pretty strong because it's one-hit kill. Because each Goomba only has 2 HP, regardless of their type.
Now, you don't have to use it. You can pretty much just skip that Paragoomba brigade and come back and hit this, then go fight him. But I usually just fight him and keep going.
That just takes much longer.
Yeah. And I will be fighting most of the enemies that I'm going to be seeing because I like the experience.
Oh, yeah.
I probably won't...
go on.
I'm probably not going to cut out the battles, mostly because the way we're doing this, cutting the audio tracks is going to be a pain as it is. And doing it whilst cutting battles out is just more effort than I really want to put into this. This is more of a fun thing than a serious thing.
Yeah. So this fight and the next one are really exercises in patience.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't have the action command, and you're doing 3 damage max with Mario and 1 damage max with Goombario, while they're doing 2 max to you. So, and they each have 5 HP.
No, one has 6. The older brother has 1 more hit point than the other.
Does he really?
Yeah, he does. I found that out when I was on a wiki a while back. I think it's actually 1 has 6 and 1 has 7.
Red Goomba has 6 and Blue Goomba has 7.
Yeah. So he has the luxury of being able to pull up wikis and stuff like that because he's not the one playing the game.
So I'll be doing a lot of fact checking and general knowledge bullshit.
Other informational things that I can't provide for you.
So
recording.
you can go back to the left and get the health, and there will be no enemies. But if you go underneath the spring, there's a save block.
Yeah, right over here.
Yeah. Which you should probably use just for the sake of explanation, but.
Yeah, alright. Real quick, saving is really, really simple in this game. You hit the block, hit this block to save the game.
Yes.
And it saves.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to save, I'll save at the end of the prologue. Because that's how I roll. Alright.
I will say that you probably should save somewhat often.
Yeah.
Because if you game over, it's back to the last save. And sometimes that's rather annoying. I couldn't tell you how many times I've died.
All right.
When
And we're coming up to about the 20-minute mark, a little bit over probably. I forgot to start my timer, so we're gonna end this part here, and we'll be seeing you guys in the next part where we continue onward.
Okay, I'm Miles Wolfman.
I'm Jaccuzi,
And
we'll be seeing you.